everyone. This is my watch list for Friday, May 1st. All right, so what happened yesterday? We got a bit of a squeeze, right? Market opened pretty weak, and I actually caught short on the Qs, but then we held demand, and we wound up reclaiming the 712, and the market squeezed into the afternoon session, okay? What's happening this morning? Really nothing. I mean, we're opening pretty flat. I guess up a little bit compared to where we closed because this last candle of the session was red. But if you compare it to the previous day high yesterday, we're at that level, right? We're opening flat on SPY. So what can we watch for today? I mean, honestly, I probably won't trade SPY or QQQ today because at this point, we're just at all-time highs and we don't have any defined levels, right? The previous day high is 719.80. You could use this as bias, right? If we're below that, you could look for shorts. If we're above, you could look for longs. But I probably won't trade SPY or QQQ today, right? You can look at the Qs as well. So the Qs are gapping down a little bit actually, but the previous session high is 669, okay? So 669 previous session high. Again, if we're below this, we can look for shorts. If we're above 669, we can look for longs. But like I said, I probably won't trade SPY or QQQ today. They've been a little bit disjointed. You know, we got the early selling yesterday. I actually took this short below 661 right here. I took this short at 950, and this wound up being a really nice trade, but then we reclaimed 661. We held that 657 demand, and the market just squeezed. The market just squeezed into the afternoon, all right? Now, do we give back that squeeze today? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens, all right? But 669, that was the previous session high, so if we're below that, can look for shorts. If we're above, can look for longs, okay? Let's look at some individuals. So Apple reported earnings. They beat, of course. Every tech name has beat earnings so far, okay? 276 is the level that I'm watching for a bounce. All right, 276, this was his previous high over here from last Thursday. It was actually the session high from yesterday as well. 276, we can either look for a long there, or if it turns weak, then we can look for a short below 276. But that's our level on Apple. AMD, I'm watching this 355 level. All right, this is a double top. Do we reclaim and rip? Let's see. All right, we rejected it once here last Monday, and we rejected it again yesterday. Above 355, this turns into a long. All right, that's something I'll be watching. Amazon, I'm not really watching. I mean, 266 was the level I mentioned yesterday. We flushed below 266, and it turned into a short. If it reclaims 266 today, potentially turns into a long again. All right, but that's not something I'm watching. And let's talk about why the market squeezed yesterday. Really, Google. Right, Google was up 10% in one day. One of the biggest single day market cap gains in history for Google, all right? So that's why the market was up so much yesterday, even with Meta, Microsoft, and Nvidia all red. Google, AMD, Tesla, a lot of chip names, ASML, right? Everything that's part of the Qs was green except for these three big tech names. So kind of, again, like a disconnected market yesterday. But Google, I'm not watching anything on Google at this point. It's just overextended. How can I trade this, okay? Meta, I talked about the levels yesterday. That's 630. Maybe if we get the 630 reject today, could look for that. Not really watching it though, TBH. Microsoft below 412. I actually did talk about this yesterday. Below 412 is a short. If we reclaim 412, it's a long. Okay. Netflix, this wound up being a great trade. I got shaken out of this trade. Let's take a look. So I took this right here at 1030. I went long right here at 92.60. All right. This candle came down. The contracts just weren't holding well. So I just immediately sold the contracts for like minus 6%. But then it wound up reclaiming and ripping and actually was one of the strongest closes into the session, one of the strongest names yesterday. So that's unfortunate. You know, these things happen. Maybe I could have re-entered, but I still like Netflix long. It held demand 90, 91. I talked about this all last week. If we get that retest of the area where I went long yesterday, 92.50 to 92, somewhere in this zone, and it's showing that it's holding, then I'll look for longs again on Netflix. Nvidia is another name I missed yesterday. I don't know. I was in La La Land, right? 207.50 was the level I talked about pre-market, and we flushed below that. This was the weakest name of the session. I loaded the puts. I did not enter the puts. Why? It was just in free fall, right? I wanted a little pop into 207.50 at this 945 candle. It just didn't happen, all right? I was penny pinching this. I should have been more aggressive, and it just sold, and it sold. It was literally the weakest, one of the weakest names yesterday, besides I guess Meta. All right, but Nvidia was so weak off the open. What can we watch today? 204 reject, right? 204 was that previous level. If we get that 204 reject, we can watch for shorts on Nvidia. PLTR, they have earnings Monday. Not watching anything. Tesla, I am watching if we reclaim 383. This is a long, right? We've talked about this level. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. We even rejected it again yesterday. Tried to build over it. It was just too late in the session, right? When you see breakouts happening at 3 p.m., usually they're going to be false breakouts, right? But if we get over 383 again today, this morning, I mean, it's already strong. I like this long, guys. We can go all the way back into the 390s, if not 400, all right? So this is something I will be watching on Tesla if we reclaim 383 for a long, all right? So that's my watch for today. Let's see what happens, and let's have a good Friday. I'll see you guys on live.